CCP has leveraged the full might of the Chinese state to dominate the global EV market. And those plans, well, are doing about as well as a Chinese EV. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell, and before we get started, I want to thank everyone who's still going strong with Operation Honeypot. Be sure to like this video and leave a comment with the honeypot emoji below, and stick around until the end of the video because I have some very interesting updates on the operation, including a response from YouTube. So, for years, the Chinese Communist Party has been trying to sell the image of China as a leader in green technology. Even though, thanks to all the pollution they pump out every year, the only truly green thing about it is the water. Ugh. But this is the CCP we're talking about, and image is everything. So they put the might of the party behind achieving their goal. How? By doing everything they can think of to boost their electric vehicle economy. This includes putting on a massive show at auto displays, like this recent one in Singapore. They've also been pushing subsidies of every shape, size, and color. Chinese EV exports increased rapidly between 2018 and 2023, according to the U.S. International Trade Commission. And domestic EV sales are rising as well, along with vehicle sales generally. In fact, in China, companies like BYD are giving Tesla a run for its money. BYD is outselling Tesla in China. It's not just inside China. Chinese EVs are dominating the global market. You probably aren't feeling that in the US because tariffs prevent Chinese EVs from swooping in. But China is basically doing to EVs what they did to steel in the early 2000s, flooding the market with cheap Chinese alternatives supported by state subsidies to drive any global competitor out of business. But this surge in Chinese EVs might be going up in smoke. Exports are expected to stall in 2025. Last Thursday, an unnamed official with the China Passenger Car Association, or CPCA, said that China will see no growth at all predicted for EV exports. And inside China, the situation isn't much better. The sales growth of so-called new energy vehicles in China will be the slowest since 2021, which was right in the middle of zero COVID. And people weren't doing a lot of driving back then. Compare the predicted numbers of 2025 with 2024, and you can see why the party might be worried. Now, it's important to keep in mind that these are just predictions, but they are based on the fact that Chinese EVs are facing a global backlash. The EU slapped massive tariffs on Chinese EVs in an attempt to protect domestic car manufacturers. The US and Canada have imposed their own 100% tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. The CCP has been trying to negotiate a deal with the EU, but so far they haven't come to any agreements. That's not stopping the CCP, though. They're trying to spread discord between the different EU member states. Countries like Turkey, Hungary, and Spain have taken positions that are friendlier to China, while France has supported maintaining the tariffs. I'm glad to see France isn't the one willing to surrender here for a change. Well, so why are these countries doing this? Well, top Chinese automakers like BYD are already planning to at least partially evade tariffs by opening local production facilities in countries like Turkey, Hungary, and Spain. I wonder why those countries might be friendlier towards China. Since these are EU members, Chinese cars made there won't be hit by tariffs. But tariffs alone don't explain the bad predictions for 2025. After all, China's biggest markets for EV exports were to Russia, Mexico, and the UAE, not the EU, Canada, or the US. Russia is a bit of a problem. Moscow is facing a massive economic crisis, in part thanks to Western sanctions over the Ukraine war. Mainly because of that, it's expected that fewer exports of Chinese cars to Russia will be part of the reduction in growth. And of course, the predictions might be trying to account for incoming US President Donald Trump, whose cabinet picks are largely anti-CCP. But there's another factor to consider: CCP incompetence. The CCP has been propping up all the growth of the past with subsidy after subsidy, including an auto trade-in subsidy that the CCP announced last Wednesday has been extended to 2025. But all the subsidies have fueled a massive price war between car companies in China, and those chickens are coming home to roost. As car companies fight to keep prices down, sales profits had to take a massive hit. According to the CPCA, there's been a steady decline over the past 4 years. By the end of the decade, it's expected that only 19 of China's 137 EV companies will be profitable. there's a massive oversupply of EVs. Remember, that was the CCP's plan. But the result is most of these companies will go out of business. So it looks like bad news for Beijing in 2025. But is China's EV industry collapsing? No. China still has enough global markets, in addition to its own domestic plans, to sustain its electric vehicle industry. And as I mentioned before, China already has plans to evade tariffs in Europe by manufacturing EVs in Turkey, Hungary, and Spain. As long as the CCP considers EVs a front line in their war against the West, state subsidies will keep companies afloat even if they aren't profitable, even if the whole Chinese economy struggles. That's what communist economic planning is all about. Now, I want to give you an update on Operation Honeypot. Last week, I launched this video exposing how YouTube mysteriously and suddenly cut off more than half of China Uncensored's viewership since early November, right around the election. Meanwhile, Chinese propaganda videos keep showing up in your feeds and searches. Then YouTube tried to gaslight us, saying our views are down because we don't have enough engagement. Well, we asked you, my amazing 50-cent army, to post comments using the honeypot emoji. And boy, did you. I've counted at least 30,000 comments, and that forced YouTube to respond, which I talked about in a recent episode. So, what can you do? Firstly, leave a comment under each new China Uncensored video and use the honeypot emoji I've pasted below. Secondly, there's a way you can help keep China Uncensored censorship-free long-term, regardless of what YouTube pulls. Subscribe directly to our website, ChinaUncensored.tv. You'll get special access to content that's not available anywhere else, like premium episodes, live streams, and a community chat with me. And you'll be supporting our efforts to get the truth about what's happening in China out to as many people as possible, without any censorship from big tech or governments. The link is below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.